Matt and Leah, 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 Matt and Leah. Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah. Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah, Matt and Leah. Pancake!
What's up, everybody? This is Bear With Us. I am Matt. She is Leah. And I'm going to come right out of the gate. I need a debate settled. Because as the intro music was playing just now for our recording, Leah demands that I accept her notion that the sound of my name is Mott, not Matt.
It sounds like
song.
Mott and Leah, Mott and Leah, Mott and Leah.
I feel like you might need to get your ears checked.
I have terrible hearing. I have like 50% hearing loss in my left ear.
What?
Excuse me? You can't get me on that because I get you on that all the time. Nice try, though. Not up in here.
Not up in here, but you're well caffeinated. We've got a big show today. And I want to start things off now that we've had a minor debate to really
That's like a good debate to kick things off.
It's not even really a debate. It's just how we hear things, and you're wrong.
What?
Anyway, I would just like to make this colossal announcement for the Bear With Us faithful.
This is huge.
This is massive. You don't even know what this is.
What
Actually,
is it?
you do.
I
You
do know.
partook in it.
Yeah.
Ding dong, the panda bear is dead.
Ding dong.
5 times in a row. 5 days in a row.
Oh,
5
yes.
days in a row.
I was wondering where you're going to say yes.
I'm not going to delve any deeper. If you
But
know, you
those-
know.
No.
The panda bear, no mas.
5 days in a row.
So
And today the day is young, so like you never know.
I think you're setting us up for failure.
All right. Well,
Setting the bar way too high. When the bar is lowered, I clear it with flying colors. But yes, so that's that. I feel like they needed to know because the genesis of this entire podcast was us being stuck in quarantine and me putting my foot in my mouth.
well, and also it's not like it's been like since you made that big announcement about the panda bear, like back in what was it, March? It's not like we've been waiting and now all of a sudden we hit this streak. It's like we killed that a long time ago.
Sure, but it was fresh on the top of my mind.
Sure.
Okay, let me have my moment in the
Okay.
sun.
Have it. Bask in it.
I am.
I'm nervous for this one.
Why are you nervous?
I don't know. I'm just a little nervous for it. It's like it's pretty real, and
You
I
need
feel
to
like
wake up. I mean, not in like the grand scheme of life thing. I mean, guzzle down your.
I'm awake. I don't know if you know this, but I'm awake.
That is
I'm just hungry now that we're talking about Magic Spoon cereal.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. As you gulp down your basic bitchachino.
Basic bitchachino. Love that.
Yeah.
Except I ain't no basic bitch. I'm a boss bitch.
Oh, okay.
Get it right or pay the price.
Can we talk for a second before we delve into the subject at hand about your weird obsession with straw sizes?
Babe, okay, this is annoying. Get off my back, bro.
I'm not getting off your back.
It's so okay. I have this weird thing when it comes to like utensils when I'm eating dinner or eating cereal. I like using the small utensil. You know how they have like the big one and then the little one. I like the little one. I like a small spoon. I like a small fork. I don't like a big. Maybe it's because I have small hands. I don't know. But also when it comes to drinking my iced coffee, I like a small straw from Starbucks, not a big one, because I like to put stevia in my iced drinks and then you like suck it up from the bottom of the straw. And if you have a big straw, you suck more of it up too quick. Does that make sense?
No, it really doesn't.
Come on, I bet there's someone out there that agrees.
Because the straws from Starbucks are all uniformly sized.
No, they are
despite your
not.
theory that
They
one
are
is
not.
wider than the
This
other.
is wider. The big one's wider.
False.
You want to bet?
I would love someone to clarify
Okay,
this.
well, I'm going to clarify it. And then I'm going to stick it up your... and you tell me the difference
And
you
we've
feel.
gone there right off the bat. You've changed. You're not the girl that I dated and fell in love with. You're a much worse version of yourself.
That is terrible because that's why I'm nervous for this episode. I'm worried that I've let myself go.
That's what we're talking
And you don't
about.
love me anymore.
Well,
for
that's okay. So before we get the horse too far out of the barn, that's bull. Don't need to worry about that. Still love you very much. However, that is the subject matter for the week. That moment when you realize you're not going to try quite as hard for your partner.
Do you think we've reached that point?
I think with any relationship, no matter who it is, evolves a comfort level.
Sure.
Obviously, most relationships, 9 times out of 10, disagree with me if I'm incorrect, you start by showing the best possible version of yourself to your suitor / potential
because you want
partner.
to impress them. You want them to think, you know, like you, and like think you're like the cat's PJs, if you will. Is that what they say?
No one
Or
says
is it
that.
the cat's meow?
The cat's pajamas?
Yeah, the cat. Oh, pajamas?
Yeah.
I shortened it. PJs.
Okay.
The cat's PJs. Like, I want you to think I'm the cat's pajamas. That's what I at least wanted you to think when we first started hanging out, right?
Sure.
I mean, I still want you to think that, but do you think that anymore? Or did you think that?
I definitely do, but our relationships also evolved past
You
that
keep
initial
saying our
point.
relationships evolved. What the hell does that mean? Like, is that your get out of jail free card?
No,
our
that means
relationship has evolved.
that's what relationships do. Nobody who's in any sort of relationship is like exactly in the same position they were at the beginning of it.
Right.
So we've grown together as people. There are things that I know and appreciate about you that I didn't,
Okay.
but that all takes time. My point is, what we're talking about today is as relationships progress or evolve, people generally start getting more comfortable, and maybe this is more of a physical appearance-wise episode.
No, I think it's more than just physical.
Okay.
Because imagine, like, I don't know, some of the I say to you today would not be like how I would speak to you in the beginning of a relationship. Do you know what I mean? Like, some things I joke around about, or things that I'm like, oh my gosh, will he judge me if I'm thinking this or say this? Like, not necessarily something about you, but like my thoughts on something else. You know, another subject matter. Like, maybe I wouldn't like let you know that I thought that way or felt that way in the very beginning of our relationship. Does that make sense? Like my views on things.
You gotta give me an example.
Or like, for example, trying to like touch your butt all the time. I wouldn't do that in the very beginning of our relationship. And I'm like, hey, I'm Leah. I really think you're hot. Like, can I put my finger in your butt? Like, I wouldn't do that in the beginning.
That's the example that you go to. When we're speaking about our growth as partners, as a couple, as a relationship, you can think, now I can tell him I want to put my digits in his ass.
But you know what I'm saying? Like,
I guess
that's why I'm saying it's not just physical.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that is physical, obviously, but I'm saying not just like appearance-wise.
Okay, well, I want to focus first on the appearance thing, because I think
Okay.
this is one that everybody can relate to.
Okay.
Myself, yourself.
Can I ask you, like, what are your go-tos when it comes to like when we first started hanging out and we're going on a date or something? What are your go-tos to make sure, like, okay, I need to make sure I have my hair this way or dress it? Like, what's your thing that you make sure?
Well, in
of
normal
yourself?
life, on day-to-day basis, I'm a pretty simple guy. Like, my fashion is pretty simple.
Right.
I go all in for work when I'm going to be on camera, generally.
Right.
But kind of how I'm dressed now, like a t-shirt, shorts, jeans, whatever's comfortable. But I always feel
Jorts.
like I'm bringing back the jorts. That's Pat McAfee's fault. So yeah, trying to keep a solid thought process with you is like trying to herd cats. It's like you're sitting there waiting to snipe my thought train.
No.
Every time a car passes, you're like, boom, here's this one. And I go, God damn it, I don't
Sorry,
even know
well,
where I
you're
was
talking
going.
about, I asked you as far as like your appearance, like for getting ready for a date. Like, how does that, like, what are the things you
Right.
make sure you do?
Well, I was getting there. Just
Right.
on a daily basis, I always I have like a bare minimum standard. And you can vouch for this because you always make fun of me that I hang out in jeans.
Right.
I don't ever feel like it's okay to look like a slob. Like, me at my base is like gym shorts and a cut-up t-shirt.
Yeah.
Which, as a dude, is fine.
Yeah.
I'd still rarely, if ever, leave the house in it.
Right.
Because I just kind of think like, okay, if I'm going to be around people, not that I'm out to impress anybody, I don't feel comfortable looking too comfortable, if
Okay.
that makes any sense.
That makes sense.
So when I would be in your presence, and granted, we knew each other
Prior.
professionally
Yeah.
prior, so you'd seen me at my best and worst, and but yeah, I had to make sure that my hair was neat and that my beard is kept.
Either one. I mean, I wouldn't know. So.
Yeah, make sure my beard is neat, and that I just don't look like a total slob. But I also am not the type that's going to put on like a polo shirt because we're going on a date.
Right.
Or,
Please don't. I'm not a fan. I don't think I could picture you in a polo shirt.
Sure. I'm just saying I kind of stick to my parameters.
Right.
Like plain black T-shirt, plain white T-shirt, jeans, nice shoes, good to go. Right. That's kind of the extent of it.
Yeah.
I don't really vary too much beyond
Well,
that.
I feel like you're someone who makes sure that you smell good.
I always make sure I smell good. That is
Yeah.
a high priority all the time, not just when we're going
and you
out.
always smell nice.
That's
I love
like
it.
that's a thing that I don't know where I got that from, but I just fear. I have this innate horror that I could smell bad. And I don't think I'm like a particularly smelly guy.
You
Because
don't
some
ever
people
stink.
are just smelly.
Yeah, you never have like a bad smell, even if it's like you haven't showered or you're sweating. Like even your sweat smells like sexiness.
Well, your view is skewed, but thank
Maybe.
you. But yeah, when it comes to like the first date, I just kind of think like the higher end of the low end of my spectrum, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
That makes sense.
I'm not, suit and tie gonna go all
I'll be
out.
on my suit and tie. Shit. Is that the words?
I have no idea
That
what's
Justin
happening
Timberlake.
right
Justin Timberlake song.
now. I don't know that
Suit
song.
and tie.
Okay, so you asked me a
Okay.
question, and I gave you an answer.
That's a
Now
great
you
answer.
have to follow up and take it
No,
somewhere.
and I just feel like I don't think much has changed in your physical appearance since we've started dating.
I've
to
lost
me.
weight thanks to Nutrition
Lost a
Solutions
little
and
weight,
Magic
yeah.
Spoon.
And I feel like you don't, like you said, you don't like going out looking like a slob, nor do you ever look like a slob. The only thing that I would say is you are very like particular about getting your beard lined up and like making sure like your hair is all cut and everything perfectly. To me, that's not something I notice on you. Like you think that you feel like you're like, oh, I just don't feel cute when your
Right.
beard isn't lined up. But to me, that's not something like, oh my God, I can't even look at him. His beard's not lined up. What a piece of is. Like I can't look at you like to me it's not like I don't think of it
Right,
like
but
something.
much like a lot of women and other guys can attest to, if you don't feel like you look your best,
Yep.
you don't
You don't
perform
feel your
best.
best.
You're
Yeah.
not your best.
Totally.
I have gotten to a point where I'm lucky enough to have good barbers around, and that's my little piece of heaven is sitting in
Yeah,
a barber chair,
you
getting my
enjoy
beard
it,
lined
yeah.
up, making sure my haircut's tight. I like that. That has nothing to do with impressing anybody or
It's just
anybody
how you
else.
feel.
It's how I feel
Yeah.
my best when I look my best. So, and I can control that relatively easily. It's
Yeah.
not impossible to go to a barber once a week or every week and a half.
Yeah. And I to me that's attractive, even though it's not something that is a big deal to me, but the fact that you're like, oh, I just like to make sure that I'm groomed. Like that to me is hot. Love that for you.
Okay.
What about me?
Well, what about you?
I'm scared. Okay, well, I guess for myself, when we first started hanging out, I never wanted you to see me without makeup. That's something that I've always been so insecure about my entire life because I have really bad dark circles under my eyes. I've had them since I was a child. It's not like, oh, you didn't sleep, you have dark circles. To me, I've had them since my baby pictures. I came out of the womb tired with bags under my eyes. So to me, that's something I've had to like learn to be okay with, and I'm okay with it. But I feel like I would be nervous for you to see me without makeup. So I always made sure, done up and hair done and all of that. And someone who has like extensions, I have to always make sure that my extensions are blended. Not that you probably even notice that, but to me, again, with the beard thing, going back to you, that's something that I was always like making sure that my hair is looking, fresh.
So now that we've established we are two vain people.
Well, we're talking about looks, you said.
Well, sort of. At the start of things, the
Right.
physical aspect.
Because
yes.
that's what it's all about in the beginning of a relationship. You have to, be attracted to somebody, right?
Sure.
Physical attraction.
So, at what point, or was there a moment when you went, oh, okay, you know what? I feel like it's okay to not put myself together.
Well,
And I don't say that in a way like, okay, you're not put together. Even right now, you're wearing sweatpants and a tank top and a baseball cap. But
so what
it's
does
not-
that mean? I'm not put together, or I am?
Oh my God.
I'm asking you, like, would you consider this like a slob?
No, you don't look like a slob.
Like a slob
but you're
kebab?
not done up. You're not
Right. This is
TV
me.
ready,
Yeah.
as we would say, or going out. Like when we go out and you have somebody come do your makeup. Like to me, that's awesome. But
That's not always. That's like a special occasion, like for my birthday, or we're out in Vegas and we're going to a show. Yeah, I want to look cute. But like to go grab dinner, I don't have someone come do my makeup.
okay, We're nitpicking.
Right. But I'm just saying, don't want to sound that bougie. I think for me it was when we started like spending nights together. I'd wake up with you in the morning. Obviously, I can't have a full face of glam. So in the morning, I'd be like, oh my gosh.
Did you do the thing like the girl in Bridesmaids did?
Totally. It's not me. It's Mrs. Iglesias. No, when she goes to the bathroom after like she hangs out with the guy for the night, she goes and does herself up in the mirror in the bathroom, and she comes back to bed, and he's like, "You look so beautiful in the morning." She's like, "Oh no, I just woke up." That's kind of what I feel like.
Can I just
in the beginning
tell you about the horror that I have experienced in the past? There was a particular relationship that I was in.
Okay.
And not too deep into it, I woke up like you do and rolled over to find that she did not have eyebrows.
Oh.
By choice, shaved them off.
And
I knew she drew them on, but they were
okay.
always there.
Right.
And there is nothing more striking than rolling over and seeing someone who you found extremely attractive the night before and realizing you're basically in bed with Nosferatu.
Babe.
It was
That's
very
awful.
jarring. I know, and it sounds shallow and terrible, but it's the truth because it threw me for a loop. Now, full disclosure, I didn't break it off. I didn't even really feel
I would
comfortable.
hope not.
I didn't
Just
feel
because she doesn't
comfortable
have
addressing
eyebrows?
it. Well, she shaved them. She shaved them
Right.
so she could draw them on, which is,
Okay.
I guess, a somewhat common thing.
No, not
I
a
don't
common
know.
thing.
All right. Well, it was a thing.
Okay.
That was what happened. I was shocked. And
She probably was too, but you couldn't tell because she didn't have eyebrows. But
yeah, it was very like, oh, okay, reevaluate the situation. All right, and got past it.
right.
Didn't last too much longer for other reasons.
Yeah, no, that would weird me out. That's also like, so I think as women out there could relate to this. I mean, I have my boobs done now, just full disclosure, but before I got them done, you know, I had a very heavily padded bra, and it was like always so awkward when you meet a guy or whatever, and like you're going to bed, and then you take your bra off, and first of all you put it on the floor, and it's like a thump, like a loud ass
like a
thump.
cinder
It's like
block.
boom, and then you know it's like, okay, this is me. Like, hope you like it, because I was totally like faking before. I don't really have boobs. So that was like something that I was always like worried about when I first started like dating someone. Would that weird you out?
No, I think in that particular instance, that's again, I think a pretty common thing. I don't think it would
Yeah.
shock me. It might disappoint me a little bit, but I wouldn't say it would probably be much of a deal breaker.
Okay.
So to that point, do you think there's any benefit to being overly honest from the get-go?
Definitely, because then there's like nothing you need to keep up with. You know, you don't have to like try to like keep portraying this thing. Like you can be like, hey, by the way, I'm having, I don't know what it would be. I have had a bra on, or I don't know. That's kind of weird to say.
I think it'd be kind of weird if we're sitting there like eating lobster and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, hey, guess what? So I've got a padded bra on. I'd be like, okay,
Yeah,
that
that
doesn't,
would be so weird.
I don't know what that has to do with anything right
Yeah.
now. See, I defer to the opposite side of things, where I think you definitely should always put your best foot forward to begin
Yeah.
with the realization that not everything is what it seems.
Right.
But you are seeing the best case scenario.
Right. This is
to
me
me,
at my best.
Where it's like, okay, she is a knockout and she's great, and I love the thought of like walking into a room with her. She's beautiful. Realizing like, okay, you're not going to wake up in the morning looking like you do now, but like I know I have that to lean on, basically. Like I know where that's going. Does that make sense? Why are you looking at me like you're getting like I'm talking myself into a hole?
Because you kind of are like, wow, you look so great, but you don't look like that in the morning. Let me tell you, you look like a piece of
You are so
foot and mouth.
hyper literal. No, you're taking things too literally. I'm saying I think it's good
You're
to
supposed to say like, babe, you look gorgeous in the morning without makeup. Like you look
do.
beautiful.
You absolutely
So I
do.
enjoy waking up next to you with no makeup.
But conversely, I feel that way about you. Let's be perfectly honest, because I love you and everything about you. It's not like, oh, it's like it's a cumulative feeling where it's like, okay, I love you and I see you in a different way than I did when I first started dating you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, like I get it, but I still don't agree with it.
What are your thoughts?
that you should think that I'm beautiful whether you like me or not without makeup.
I'm not saying that you're missing the point here.
No,
That's
because
not
what you're
I'm
saying
saying.
is, well, it's because I have feelings for you, so it doesn't matter what you look like in the morning because I love you.
Eventually, it's so you when you're like 70 years old, are you gonna be offended when I'm like, oh, she's not as hot as she once was?
Yes.
Well,
You better tell me I'm hot as when I'm 70. I want to look like, what's her name?
Sophia Loren.
Sophia Loren, and also who's the workout chick? Oh my God.
Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda. Like Jane Fonda is a babe, and she's old.
Okay.
Like,
So you've totally derailed the conversation again. This has nothing to do.
no, because you said you want me to still tell you that you look beautiful when you're 70. Yes, I do want you to tell me that.
I'm talking about normal relationship parameters.
I get it, but I'm also.
But you don't get it.
I
'cause
do
you just
get
keep-
it, but I can't just sit here and be like, "Yes, babe, I agree with you." Like I'm trying to tell you from my perspective because I
Right.
think a lot of women
Well,
would
then
agree.
tell me your perspective
I
because
just
you're not
did.
telling. You're just telling me that I'm wrong.
No, I'm not telling you you're wrong. I just said just because like what you're saying is when we wake up in the morning, I have feelings for you. I know how I feel about you. It's like this feeling you have inside me, so that's what makes me beautiful in the morning. Not the fact, oh, you're just a babe without makeup. Regardless of how I feel about you. Like if we have a fight the night before and we wake up in the morning, or it could be like, oh, she's so ugly.
But let's say we never got to that point. Maybe then it's a different scenario. If I'd never seen you at your best and been attracted to you on that level, then I don't know that it would have worked to where we got to the point where it's like, oh, I feel comfortable not being made up around him.
No, and I understand what you're saying that way. I get
That's
that.
what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Back to the conversation
what
that
you're saying
we were
with that.
having
Yeah.
about at the beginning of a relationship. I think
Okay,
it's
yeah.
best to put your best
And
foot
I'm
forward.
not arguing with you on that at all. I
Then
think
what the hell are you arguing
I'm
about?
arguing because I want you to tell me I'm pretty.
I tell you, you're pretty all the time. You are pretty. This has nothing to do with the
Regardless
conversation.
of how you feel about me is my point.
Well, the two aren't mutually exclusive. If I get fat all of a sudden and put on 50-something pounds,
Right.
I'm not naive enough to think, oh, she still thinks I'm hot. But I'm not saying it would be the case, but you very well may go, oh, yeah, you're a little fatter than you were when I thought you were your hottest, but I still love you and I still
Right.
think you're attractive
Right.
because of the emotions. Then it's a package deal. You
Yes.
can't just separate one or the other.
Right. I get that. I don't think you're hearing what I'm saying.
I don't think you know what
It's
you're
fine.
arguing
we
for.
can disagree to disagree.
I'm
and
happy to
that's fine.
disagree and discuss. That's what this is all about. But you're not giving me your side of the
I
discussion.
am giving you my side. What I'm saying is when we first started hanging out, right, you think I'm hot, whatever. You think I'm attractive because I have 70 pounds of makeup on and a whole bunch of fake hair in my head. Then we go to bed and I wake up the next morning without all of that. I want you to still think like, oh, wow, you're so beautiful.
And I do. So it all depends on basically when you decide to take me to bed. If we've had a connection beforehand, before we experience that moment where it's like, okay, we've gone on a few dates. It wasn't like, oh, the first time we hung out, it was like, oh, God, here's Nosferatu. There was time built. There was an investment of time and emotions.
But I'm asking, why does there have to be an investment of time to think someone's beautiful without makeup? That's my point. Why can't there just be, like, if there's a bunch of women lined up without makeup on, can't you find any of them attractive without makeup?
That's not what I'm saying at all.
But
because
I'm asking you. That's my point.
you're arguing a different point.
No, I'm not arguing a different point. I'm saying, can't you find a woman attractive without makeup on?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking.
I literally am lost at what your point was that you were trying to make.
Maron. Okay, anyway, keep going. What else? I think you don't realize what you're saying.
I am saying from a general perspective, when two people start finding one another attractive and could potentially go on a date, maybe even have sex, you put your best foot forward.
Yes.
If things go well, then on the other half of the act, or as the relationship progresses, you are less inclined to hold people to that standard
Yes.
of the best foot
And
forward.
I'm literally on the same page as you when it
Then
comes
what
to
the
that.
hell have you been arguing with me about for 20 minutes?
Because how do you not realize what I'm arguing? the fact, like, even if we first start dating and we don't necessarily have a connection. I mean, we did, so it's different. But my point is, can't you find a woman attractive without makeup?
Yes, you
Okay,
can.
that's it. That's all I'm asking. Has nothing to do with the topic that we're arguing. I just want to know that. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, there are a lot of women that don't need makeup. I'm just saying, if you're trying to present yourself for
Yes, and
basically
I'm with you, yes.
a date is an audition.
Right, and I agree. I like to get full glam. I like when we go out. I like to look good and all of that. All I was asking was, would you find me attractive if we didn't have a connection and I wasn't wearing makeup? That's what I'm asking you.
Yes.
Okay, that's it. That's it. That's all I'm asking.
So this whole 15-minute roundabout session has been to pander to your personal agenda.
Yes. But I asked you that at the beginning of the 15 minutes, and then you went on this whole thing about how you had to have a connection first.
I think it's impossible to say that because I don't look at you like an objective viewer.
Okay,
now.
and I get that.
That's my. Oh my God. It's like arguing with the wall.
F you. Arguing with the wall.
Yes. Yeah.
This is why I can't with you. Because it's Matt is right, Leah's an idiot. That's essentially what our arguments are, because you think you're the only one that has a way of thinking, and if anyone else thinks off the trail or the path that you're on, they're a idiot. Send them to the moon.
Said you were an idiot.
You said it's arguing with the wall.
Because you just spent all this time arguing with me with something that I wasn't even trying to take a stand for.
Let's stop arguing.
I'm not arguing.
You just said you're arguing with the wall. So then what are you doing?
I said it's like arguing with a wall.
Oh, so what is it then? If it's like arguing with the wall, but we're not arguing?
If you're arguing with a wall, it means you cannot win.
Oh, my God.
That's what that saying
What does it mean
means.
when you punch the wall? Is there something to that?
Are you threatening me?
Okay, beyond the physical part, right? Beyond the physical part, what else is there in a relationship that, like, when you start getting a little more comfortable, what are some of those walls that come down? Like, what do you think from your perspective?
Well, per our conversation several weeks back, the whole bodily function thing,
sure,
which to me still is not like a comfortable thing. Like, yeah, we know it happens, but I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know about it.
That's true.
That hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Despite being together for however long it's been, it's not going to change. It's not like all of a sudden I'm going to go, oh man, I think it's funny. I'm going to tell you about this thing that just went down in there. No, that's never going to happen. But I'm sure that a lot of people were like, oh yeah, it's my girlfriend. Oh, she's my wife. I'm just going to fart all over the place.
Right.
Gross.
Yeah.
Not into that.
Cool. I'm not into it either.
Okay.
What else? I'm trying to think, like, what other things are there when you are in a relationship with somebody that eventually change over time?
Well, everything changes over time. Like I'm saying, I think what I'm wondering is, when is it like the right moment to make that transition, make that change?
Well, I also think it's like when you move in with somebody, it's hard to keep up this facade of perfection.
Right.
You know, so like everyone has faults, well, except for me because I'm perfect, but everyone has faults and things that like might get on each other's nerves, or, you know, I can't be wearing a mini skirt and a cute little top every time we hang out, like, or when you see me coming down the stairs in the morning, you see me in my pajamas. But I feel like I always try to make sure like I'm put together somehow, like unless I'm like super sick or like hungover or something and I look like a bag of dirt on the couch. But other than that, I try to be put together for the most part.
And you are. I'm not saying anything other than compliments for the rest of the day.
No, babe, come on. That is not what I was trying to say. I just had a question. I was just curious, and I just was like a little insulted when you said, like, are we going to go back to this? I don't want to go back to it. I thought we moved on from it.
I don't even know how we got there to begin with.
Because you said the only way you found me attractive without makeup is because we had a connection.
That's not what I said. Wow. So for those who are listening and may want to have this discussion, what would your advice be, or to handle this? Because it's an inevitability. Look, you got me all flustered. I'm like stammering and stuttering and can't think straight. I'm all jacked up right now.
You're asking them for advice.
I asked you for
Oh,
advice.
asking
There's
me
nobody
for
else
advice.
in the room to answer us, so that would be
I
kind of the
know.
dumbest thing I've ever done.
Oh my God, it's like fucking talking to a wall. Anywho, what was the question? Can you start over? I thought you were asking the audience, so that's why I wasn't paying attention.
Go scream down a well, see if anybody answers.
No, but sometimes we ask the listeners things.
Right, but I was pretty sure that you got the gist when I was staring you dead in your eyes and asked you a question. What would your advice be to someone who's in a relationship and about to breach this moment or has just done it and maybe feeling a little bit of shock value?
I think, I don't know how you feel, but I feel like I always get worried about getting to that point in a relationship because the new exciting, moments in the very beginning of a relationship are just the best, like the butterflies, and you just never want that phase to end or get over. Like I remember, because we were doing long distance for so long, I'd be like, oh my gosh, when I'd see her name come up on my phone, it would be just like so exciting. But eventually, like, we can't live like that forever. Eventually,
Right,
things
it's not
change.
realistic.
It isn't as much as we want it to be. I just think it's one of those things you just have to embrace it, but you can't. Like, I look at couples that have been together for like years, like my parents, for example, or like some of my family, my grandparents, and it's just important. They're all together. No one in my family has like been divorced, so it's like they try to do whatever, like little things. Like my parents, like they argue like cats and dogs, but they're always very affectionate towards each other. They're always very like complimentary, and I think it just depends on your situation and how your relationship works. But I think you can't just let yourself go. Once you let yourself go, like that's why relationships end. That's why people cheat. That's why people do things where they're just not happy with the other person anymore. And no one's perfect, but at the same time, keep your shit together. Don't completely let yourself go.
I think you hit it right on the head. There's definitely going to be a higher level of comfort as a relationship progresses. But if you let go of all of the things, obviously there are certain circumstances that can't be avoided. I mean, so don't take offense to this if you get painted with the wrong brush. I'm saying, generally speaking, if you let yourself go in any number of ways, whether it be your physical well-being or your attentiveness or how you treat one another, yeah, absolutely, it's going to be the downfall of anything. And guys, I feel like we're probably to blame as much, if not more, than women, because I think a lot of guys just get comfortable and complacent, and you put on weight and you don't feel the need to look your best.
But not only with looks. I think it's like when you're courting a woman, like when you're trying to like get in a relationship with a girl, you say sweet things, you're sending texts, you're wanting to chat with them all the time and like, talk
Right.
to them about certain things, or maybe you're sending them flowers or cute little notes or gifts, and it's not about big value and gifts, but just like little things like that you might do in the very beginning of a relationship. And that's all women want. All women want is to feel loved and appreciated. That's it. Like, so like if I'm cleaning the house and you're like, babe, thanks for doing the laundry. Like, to me, that's all I need. I don't need you to get me like jewelry or flower. Just tell me like, thank you. Like the little things that you would maybe do in the beginning of a relationship. Don't forget about those things. Cause I feel like most of the time when relationships start getting rocky, it's because you start getting comfortable. You forget the things you did in the beginning. Cause I'm telling you right now, that's all women want, is to feel loved and appreciated. Tell your girlfriend or your wife every single day you love them. Tell them they're beautiful and thank them for the shit they did. That's it. You don't need to go over that. Like, come on. Those are 3 easy things you could do that are all free. That's it. That's all you need to do.
There you go. There you have it.
I don't know what else women want. And if a woman wants more than that, then kick her ass to the curb.
There you go.
Maybe not.
Just drive that wedge, baby. Keep going.
No, but I'm serious. Like, I feel like you do such a great job of always, telling me you love me, you appreciate me. And I hope that never goes away, because I feel like that makes me feel like special, makes me feel like wanted, makes me feel like you want to keep me around.
You keep taking my thoughts out of context and arguing with me about it. That will go away real
well,
fast.
here's the thing. I'm allowed to argue your point if I don't necessarily agree or see what you're saying. I was misunderstanding. I don't really know what else to say. I thought the way you were saying it, and I'm telling you, you go back and listen to this, you're going to realize the way you said it didn't come off the way you meant it to. So how about that?
So I
Same thing with the panda.
I was gonna say I said goodbye to one panda bear, and I've acquired a new one.
Right. I don't think I would get that fired up if you didn't say something like, I'm telling you, the way you said it was offensive. I'm not mad, but I'm also going to react.
I think it's the coffee.
No.
So what else? What are some other pitfalls guys need to be aware of from your perspective?
Well, I think
You just
that's
named quite
what
a few.
Yeah, I think that's what I just got into. But what do you think as women? Like, what do you think that we can do?
I mean, if we're being
Clean
perfectly
the house and fold the laundry, do the dishes, and
no, like I mean, that stuff's all wildly appreciated, but that's another conversation for another day. But I think just some of the same things that I mentioned for guys, like take care of yourself. Obviously, life happens. Your body's going to change. Everyone's bodies change as they get older. You gain weight, you lose weight, you get stressed out, you have bags under your eyes. Maybe you don't sleep. Maybe they get worse. You know, like there's a million different things that will evolve as human beings grow older and with time. But I think on the day-to-day basis, if you all of a sudden decided like you didn't want to shave your legs anymore, or once every 3 months, we might have a little bit of an issue, a bit of a hiccup.
really,
Yeah.
that's a little barbaric.
Oh, don't play the feminism card on me. I'm telling you,
No, I feel the same way.
Look.
But that's a good point, because when we first started hanging out, I always made sure like shave my legs, everything. But now like we live together, so it's like if I didn't shave my legs today and then he like touched my leg, I'm like, oh, sorry, babe, I didn't shave my leg. Like, not that you even said anything, but there's like a little bit of prickle, and I'm like, oh, this is embarrassing.
right, kind of like
know?
when you refuse to let me spoon you because I haven't shaved my chest in several days.
Okay, that's not true. That was something you felt bad about, but it was a little prickly when you were spooning me. Made my back itchy.
Right, but on the other end of the spectrum, had we started dating and you weren't into shaving your legs, I might, take a second to get used to it. But if it's like, oh, if this is a thing,
This is
that's
my
who you
thing.
are, that's
Yeah.
what you do, totally cool, totally acceptable.
Like the girl with no eyebrows.
Right. I embraced her lack of eyebrows from the get-go, and
Right.
for a short period of time
And you're
after.
very accepting. I feel like you're not like discriminatory towards like anything. Like if you were just like, yeah, if you didn't want to shave your pits, cool. Like if that's how I was.
And
but-
I think ultimately, if you look at your partner as a reflection of yourself, if you take care of yourself, I think you're more inclined for your partner to. I can say, personally speaking, with you and I, before you and I started living together, I ate what I wanted when I wanted. I still kind of do from time to time, but I had the worst diet. I drank way too much beer. I worked and I sat at home. There was no physical activity beyond that, because we know I've retired from the gym altogether. But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I was very stuck in my ways, and now we're going outdoors, and whether it just be for like a stupid walk or something, like I'm much more active because you are, and I think the key is you don't force it on me.
right.
That to me is the biggest thing, because nothing is going to make me shut down quicker than somebody telling me what I need to do.
Oh, that's the worst.
I will just do the polar opposite just to spite you. I don't care if it's a good thing, if it's a beneficial thing for my life and my health. If you go, you really should start doing this. You eat like garbage. You should start doing this. I'm going to go, oh, cool. You want to see me eat 3 Big Macs?
right.
I'll eat 4 today just to spite you. But doing it in a manner where it's like, hey, I'm doing this thing. Why don't you do it with me?
Yeah, do
Or-
you want to do this with me? And if not, cool, because
Right.
I'm going to do it either way.
Right.
So it's like, and I think that's something women, and I don't mean to like pigeonhole it just, oh, this is a woman thing, but like we nag. Like women nag. And I feel like you can't make anyone do anything. Like I look at my mom and my dad, and my mom will be like, well, you need to do this, you need to do that. And my dad's like, you never like get off my back. But he does it anyway, right? That's like the way they do things. But I feel like if women would just stop trying to make their man do something that they don't want to do, then their relationship would be a lot better. Like you don't have to like just let them be. You can't change anybody. The guy has to want to do something. There's a way to go about it. Like, hey, do you mind helping me with this? Or, hey, I did this. Do you think you could do that? Like, try to have a balance.
Right.
But there's no need to be like, you need to do this. Why don't you do that? No. Like, oh, that drives me nuts.
Agreed. But I can also see from the other side that it could be really frustrating if you have a guy or a partner in any capacity that's active and does things and helpful around the house, and then over time they just kind of
They
stop
stop.
doing it.
Sure, I can see that too.
That could definitely be one of those changes that is not for the better.
Yeah.
But back to my original point is look at your partner as a mirror for yourself. Is she taking care of herself? Then why am I not?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm getting a little fat and she's going to the gym every day. All right, well, maybe it's time to, and again, if you're comfortable, if you're in love, I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I'm saying personally, if there's something about your partner that you're not in love with right away,
It's
look
only
at yourself. And if you've done everything in your power to change, influence, alter that behavior, well, then maybe a conversation needs to be had.
But also, if there's something like that in the very beginning that you think is something that's like a really big value of yours or something that really sticks out from the beginning, that's not going to go away. That's not going to change. So it's one of those things where you either have to accept it or maybe move on.
Give me an example.
For example, someone who maybe, I don't know, goes to bars and drinks all the time when you first start dating someone, and it's like something they're doing without you a lot, and it's at the very beginning of a relationship, and then they're not like changing those habits, or they're not trying to make you a priority, but you're like, oh well, he really loves me, and eventually he'll stop going to the bars, and then like he keeps going. Like you're not just gonna eventually be like, well, why didn't you stop going? Like that's something that they're stuck in their ways about. If they want to, like, if you start dating somebody and they're going to the bars a lot, but then you're like hanging out with them more and they start going to the bars less and less and less on their own, that might be a example. But I'm just saying, like, if someone's stuck in their ways about whether it's like smoking or like a bad habit, or if you're a religious person and you're dating someone who's not the same religion as you, and you're like, oh, well, I can convert him, I can try. Like, no, you can't do that. You can't just think over time you're just going to convince somebody to do something that they don't want to do.
I guess that's a good outlook. Don't expect change.
Yeah.
Sort of either accept it from the get-go, or
especially if it's something big. If it's something small, like, oh, I don't know, pick their toenails or something like that. Something that, I know, but it's not like a reason to not be with somebody. It's something minor. I don't know. If I was on a date with a girl and she was picking her toenails, I think that might be a deal breaker. But I think over time, you'd be like, hey, just don't do that in front of me because it's f***ing gross. And then they probably wouldn't,
Sure. Well,
what do you think, baby?
Regarding?
Is it time for a little mailbag?
We might as well, because whatever conversation we had in mind at the beginning of this recording, who knows if it's even anywhere close to where
I think we really hit some good points.
We probably did. And if nothing else,
did.
the world will get to hear you audibly get pissed off at me in real time.
There's nothing. I mean, it's nothing they haven't seen before.
That's true.
Here's
Don't
the
sing
mail,
the
it
song.
never fails.
No,
it makes
stop.
me want to wag my tail.
Listen,
When it comes,
guys,
I want to
if
well.
your girlfriend insists on singing at inopportune times, that's not going to change. I've tried.
Papa, can you hear me? Papa.
And that's not even good
Can
music.
you
This is, what is this,
feel
Barbara
me? It's a little
Streisand?
Babs, come on. Don't be a hater. If you don't like Barbara Streisand, I cannot be with you.
Cool. Deuces. I'm out.
You don't like Babs?
I just broke up with you on the air.
Barbara Streisand. She's an icon.
To who?
Everybody.
I couldn't name a Barbara Streisand song if you paid me right now.
Oh my God, whatever. All right, here we go. Here's a question, a good one, I think. My boyfriend and I are having a difficult time with communication. We actually just had a huge fight because of it. I've had a rough past with my exes, so I tend to hold back my feelings or emotions, etc. Do y'all have any advice as to how to get myself out of this and be able to be open and honest about things with my boyfriend without feeling like I'm bothering or asking for too much?
Go for it.
I feel like it is hard sometimes when you have certain things that happen in your past relationships. It's hard to let those things go. But when you're carrying those insecurities or problems over from your past relationship into your new one, that's only going to create problems that are not there.
It's like poison.
Yeah, it's
like
just
poison Mio in your water. It will slowly expand and poison your relationship.
So how do you go about changing that? Like, I feel like you and I have had a lot of conversations about things that you've dealt with your ex, and like,
right. And I think you have to start by not being afraid of being wrong.
okay, that's
like,
good.
nobody's ever died just from being wrong when you have a conversation. And you have to work at how you deliver it. Delivery is everything. I can talk to you and tell you something that's not necessarily good news, or it could be a problem, something we need to discuss. But if I say, hey, babe, so I was wondering, and then I propose this situation or this scenario or this thing that's been bothering me, or when I know how, when you get upset, you go, okay, so hey, remember the other day when you did this thing? Then you lay it out for me, and every time basically to this point we've gone, okay, cool, I'll try not to do that anymore, or we'll try not to let that happen again. Give it time, even if it needs to be 2 or 3 days to let yourself calm down. If your partner pisses you off to the point where you're like, this is,
and you're like fuming.
Yes, I can't take. Don't have the discussion then.
Yeah, you have to calm down.
Simmer
first.
down. You may trust me. I can be a hothead, and where something pisses me off, and right then and there, I want to start a fight. I want to get into an argument. I want to handle this and get, prove myself right. Give it time. Give it a day. Give it an hour. Whatever you need. Then have the discussion, and be present in the discussion. Don't just say your piece and then sit there and stare blankly at your partner while they're...
It's a 50-50.
It's a conversation.
Yeah, give and take. I feel like the same with you where, to me, I want my problem to be resolved right away. If there's an issue, it's hard for me to focus on other things because I'm like, we have to get this taken care of. But the problem's not going to go away. You can move on and focus on other things, as hard as it might be. But and then you have to think about how you're going to address it. If you don't take time to think about choosing your words properly, or like you said, addressing it in a way that's when you're calm, then you're screwed. Everything's just going to blow up. But if you take time to think about it, then you're not going to say something you don't mean, because that's I think the worst part about fighting, when you say things that you might be thinking, but you're never going to say them out loud, and you don't necessarily mean that. But when you hear something that's so like a dagger from the person you love, it's
I'm
the
swinging
worst.
samurai swords signed by Randy Jackson.
It's hard to let those things go, because I would just always think those things in the back of my mind. If you said something that was such a dagger and mean and hateful, even if you didn't mean it, it would be hard for me to ever let that go.
Well, there you have it. Calm down, cool out, then have your conversation. Don't be afraid of being wrong, and who knows? You guys might be on the same page before you even realize it. You just have to have that conversation to realize it. I just summed that up very eloquently. I'm very proud of myself.
That was pretty good.
It was a synopsis.
It was a great synopsis.
What are you going to say? You're going to doubt me now. You're going to
No,
rain on my
I was just going
parade.
to say you're my cute little nose rag.
Don't do this to me now.
We've been watching Married with Children, and some of the insults that they come up with are so hilarious and just so cheesy and corny. What was the other one?
Puss bomb.
Don't be a puss bomb, guys, okay? Just be a good partner. And, don't let yourself go. Let it go. Let it go.
Speaking of letting it go, I think it's time to let this episode of Bear With Us go.
And while you're on your little Twitter devices and your little phones and your computers, maybe give us a 5-star rating and write a little review. If you will.
I don't understand the koala bear hands thing you're doing right now, like Alexis Rose.
I just sometimes when I get in Alexa mode, I'm a little bit of la 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 la, little bit Alexis.
Wow. I'm going to simmer down, think things through, and have a conversation. Thanks. Keep them coming. Keep sending questions to the mailbag. Can
we give them our email address? It's bearwithus@gmail.com. If you guys want to send your questions in for the questions of the week, numero uno, numero dos, un, deux, trois, quatre, cinq, six, sept, huit, neuf, dix. That's French.
Well, you started Spanish.
I know. I'm trilingual, okay? Bite me.
Bear with us.